Mwanzo nataka kuwashukuru as usual for coming here this Sunday morning. I decided it was important to convene this conference today because of the so many extra discussions that are going on lately. And it was only fair and right that I convene this conference in my capacity today as the Secretary General of WIPO in consultation with the party leader and every other leader. That is what the consultation of the WIPO Democratic Movement. First, maybe as a preliminary point, as I talk to you, the primaries in Machakos are ongoing. There was a way in which we had some last week put to a halt the Machakos primary, upon which the various aspirants for the gubernatorial position in Machakos were then requested to attend to the party leader's summons or request for mediation or for consultation. And it was ultimately arrived that in line with the deadline for conducting party primaries, the Machakos gubernatorial primaries will take place today. So as we speak, and in the interest of the party, and in the interest of the unity of the party, I think it was resolved unanimously that the Machakos gubernatorial primaries be held today. So as we speak right now, those primaries are going on. We do realize that there are two candidates participating. That is Honorable Avinia Ndeti and Honorable Bernard Kiala. And the commitment of the party is that it shall embrace the candidate who shall emerge the winner of that particular primary. No. So I think, therefore, any perceptions that were created that the party was interested in issuing a direct nomination to Avinia Ndeti will be dealt with today decisively. So I want you guys to tell your friends and your colleagues to follow up the primaries. I know you've done a good job. Somebody was telling me that there's been very little coverage of the WIPO primaries. But it's because largely they have been smooth. So there's really nothing for Francis Otoma or Kanga or anybody to write home about. People like those areas where there are two results declared or where the person who lost disrupts the tallying, or where somebody spends time in police custody, or where there's violence and confrontation, or where guns are drawn. So I think the process has been fairly smooth in terms of the overall standards that have been set across the board, that one can reasonably say that there has been really nothing fundamentally destructive for anybody to report. So I'm happy to inform you. Even here in Mombasa, the grievances that have been raised, most of them have been resolved. Those you see have decided to take an independent ticket. How is it possible that wewe una kura sita, wewe msimami wa MCA umpata kura sita, alafu unkwenda kuprotest the elections were not free and fair? Sasa yule aliyokuibia ampatanga 5, alafu sisi unaibiwa vipi? Wajua kuna kuibiwa ya kuballot staff. Sasa yako takuwa watu wantoa. So I think some of those issues had no basis. And I think some of them have progressively moved on to become independent candidates. Na mimi, deep down, I wish every aspirant the best of luck in this election. Every person who is brave enough to face the electorate must be wished the very best of luck. Sasa, to the primary issue that has gotten us into this press briefing today. You know, our concern was raised on the basis that various media outlets had reported that there were cracks in the NASA. I think a set of divergent opinions, one or two couple of opinions that are not satisfied with the decision is not evidence of cracks. It is often evidence of democracy. Kwa hivyo, even in terms of reporting, it depends on your style of reporting. Divergence is not division. Divergence is actually a healthy evidence or healthy evidence of democracy. There's a common saying I really like. Somebody told me once, show me absolute unity and I'll show you an absolute dictator. So where there is absolute unity, realize that there is an absolute dictator. You recall the Nyayo era days where free speech was not the mainstay of government. We had a lot during that era. That perception of a united front in Kenya was just a fallacy. So for us, we want our members to debate every issue fundamental to the coalition or to the alliance, but not to lose sight of the bigger picture. So therefore, first and foremost, I categorically state, I told you in this media repeatedly, that Wiper will ascribe itself to any consensus. You did not believe us. The problem is that you ran a narrative that Wiper will either bolt out, Kalonzo is doing this and this other person is saying that and that. When the devil was shamed, some of you continue to run the narrative that there's this disharmony. I think this deal, the NASA settlement, was not necessarily the most perfect thing that we could get. But in the circumstances, it was the best consensus that our principals could arrive at. And we made it very clear that all of us will support this whatever decision that was made. We made it abundantly clear. There are those of you who thought Kalonzo Musyoka will not sign to this instrument, or Wiper will not sign to this instrument. But Wiper signed onto this instrument. And Wiper is committed to the presidency of NASA, the candidate and its deputy, and the various other positions that have been allocated within the design of the agreement that was deposited by the register to the Register of Political Parties. So therefore, I do appreciate some of the concerns that have been raised. But as I said, these concerns are not evidence of cracks or disunity. These concerns that have been raised are concerns legitimately that have been raised across the party or across the spectrum, whenever we have proceeded with the discussions around the NASA flag bearer. So that is where we are at now. So as in myself and on behalf of the party leader and the Wiper Party, I want to make it abundantly clear that we are part of that arrangement, that we appreciate the concerns by some of our members, but we're asking them to be party to this great narrative that is unfolding in Kenya right now of making sure that we torpedo and replace from power so as to put in a people's government on August 8th, 2017. You know, they talk about Raila having his last bullet. Sisi as a party, we believe Raila's last bullet, together with the backing of Kalonzo Musyoka and the other principals, make it a silver bullet. And you guys have heard of the story of the silver bullet. So I think, contrary to popular perception, this is not a question about somebody's last bullet. It is about a silver bullet that will now be able to deliver victory for the people of Kenya. And I am asking every Wiper member to feel party to this agreement so that we can be able to run an exceptionally good campaign to remove Jubilee and the Uhuru Ruto regime from power. And that's what brings me to my last point. You know, as a party, for a long time, we have raised with a great passion our desire to have Kalonzo Musyoka as the flag bearer. But the party always qualified the fact that in the event Kalonzo Musyoka was not the presidential candidate, we will support whatever other arrangement. These public commitments were not in vain. There must be some honesty in politics. We must be able to believe in what we say. Politics cannot always be the machination of the dishonest, a land that we call so dirty, where the intrigues of what we say in public are not necessarily the intrigues of what we believe in private. So therefore, for me, as far as I'm concerned, we meant each and every single word we said in public, that we shall support, that we will support whoever shall be named NASA flag bearer. And in my assessment, the fact that it was not Kalonzo Musyoka, it only behoves us to put to truth our public assertions that we support whoever is named flag bearer. And I think as a Wiper base, we must not fall into the machinations of the Jubilee regime. Jubilee has always mobilized its followership around what I can call a Raila phobia. It will either accuse Raila of ICC machinations, it will accuse Raila of hatred, it will accuse Raila of violence. So as the family of the NASA family, we must ensure that we do not play to the propaganda of the Jubilee regime. Jubilee has wanted us to believe various things about various of our candidates. If it was Wetangula, they would have told you one thing or another. If it was Kalonzo Musyoka, they would have told you one thing or another. If it was Mudavadi, if it was Isaac Ruto, they would have told you one thing or another. So it was evidently obvious. It was obvious that they were going to say certain things to ensure that they punch the faith of our people. So, I keep saying this sometimes with a lot of passion. In Wiper, I've been given full mantle as Secretary General. The membership of the party, the rank and file, have given me all the support. They have shared in our triumphs and tribulations. They have loved us more than we even could imagine. I have been given more support than I can imagine. I'm one of those Secretary General who was not only given a gun, but I was given more bullets than I needed. So I think what I'm asking today, and I went up the breadth and length of this country to support a Kalonzo Musyoka presidency. But we all also put the rider that it was not about only Kalonzo Musyoka, it was about Kenya. And therefore, my appeal, probably my most important appeal to the members of the Wiper Democratic Movement, my most important appeal to members of the Wiper Democratic Movement is for us to support the NASA candidacy, to support the NASA framework, to edge out from power Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto in the August 8th elections. And I can tell you, Kalonzo Musyoka sent Senator Junior, my little brother Mweke and myself to Raila Odinga a few weeks ago. Because we as a party also believe Raila is a good man. We believe Raila has given enough sacrifices for this country. We believe Raila has been part of Kenya's transformation. He's had his share of misfortunes. He's had his limitations as a human being, but he's definitely a good man. In fact, he's definitely an extraordinary improvement from the kind of regime and the kind of governance that we receive today from Jubilee. So therefore, anybody who thinks as a Wiper person that you want to be dissatisfied with this decision, I think then you are playing into the hands of Jubilee. So I'm asking you, and more specifically, I want to address Honorable Nyenze. First and foremost, those of you who disagree with Nyenze, particularly those who are not from our party, please don't insult him. Don't call him a mole. Don't vilify him. He simply has his concerns. And I'm asking Nyenze publicly, the way he has made some of these statements publicly, that we respect you as a friend and as a brother in the party, but it is time we now build the NASA coalition. I do appreciate that you were concerned that you wanted a Kamba president, but we were not looking for a Kamba president. We were looking for the president of the Republic of Kenya. You can be sure Kalonzo Musyoka will not have been able to bring a Kamba government. Raila Odinga will not bring a Luo government. Neither will the NASA government be a government of four ethnic groups: the Kambas, the Luyas, the Luos, and the Kalenjins. It will be a government for all Kenyans. So therefore, the mere fact that Kalonzo is running mate, even if he were presidential candidate, will not have meant that the Kambas will have benefited in a manner to oust the legitimate rights and constitutional obligations of any sitting president. So therefore, this fallacy that your man must be in power, you can be sure that we will never allow Raila Odinga to create a Luo presidency. We are not removing Uhuru Kenyatta to remove a Kikuyu presidency and replace it with a Luo Kamba presidency. So anybody who's misconceived out there that Hassan Omar, Zamzam Muhammad, 1GB, and the rest of us here are fighting day in, day out, day and night to bring a presidency that will benefit any particular community, is living in the 1960s. So therefore, all I'm asking Honorable Nyenze is to trust that the NASA government will be a constitutional government, that the Kambas will get whatever rights and aspirations that they have been wanting to achieve, either with a Kalonzo presidency or as a deputy president. And the NASA government will be just and fair to everybody, those who vote for us and those possibly who will not vote for us. So therefore, let us not make it appear like we are fronting ethnic chieftaincy. Even those of us who wanted a Kalonzo presidency, it is not because we wanted the presidency in Ukambani. It is because we wanted the presidency to be a symbol of national unity for all Kenyans. If it is not Kalonzo's moment in 2017, I am certain it will be Kalonzo's moment in 2022. The coalition instrument that we have been deposited before the registrar of political parties has qualified it this time in writing. It's no longer a gentleman's agreement. It is in writing that neither Raila Odinga nor ODM as a party will produce a presidential candidate in the 2022 elections. Neither Raila Odinga nor the ODM party. It is in writing. It is an instrument that has been deposited to the office of the registrar of political parties, that neither Raila Odinga nor ODM will produce a presidential candidate in 2022. That it will either be I am certain, it will be the preserve of the Wiper Democratic Movement at that point in time. So when Raila says he's a transitional and a transformative president, I want to believe him in that. And we need to support him in that. We need to support NASA in that. So therefore, I want to allay those concerns. I can tell Kambas, as a Secretary General of Wiper, that they will be better off in a NASA government than they are in a Jubilee government. So I've made to you the most important appeal I have made as Secretary General of Wiper, to please support this movement. You probably will be the most celebrated generations of our time, the generation that took a decisive position outside ethnicity, outside myopic considerations, outside personal interests, to ensure that we usher in change and transformation in Kenya. So therefore, today I came, I hope to speak particularly to the hearts of the Wiper base out there, that trust me, what we did Raila might have secured the presidency as a NASA presidential ticket, but Wiper secured Kenya. Wiper secured Kenya. It is Wiper's decisive decision, the Wiper decision, a historical moment, the ultimate sacrifice that Wiper made, that made the NASA agreement possible. And you should be proud about it. And we should support the party leader, we should support the party, and we should now start picking up the pieces so that we move forward. So I'm asking you out there, in Wiper, when we disagree, we don't throw mud, we don't attack one another. I've seen a brigade of online lynch mobs calling Nyenze all sorts of names. He is one of us. He has a divergent opinion. He's had it for a long time. We respect his opinion, but we also ask him now to tone down so that we can move on, and that whatever interests he thought that the Kambas will secure through a Kalonzo presidency, those interests can be secured as Kambas and as Kenyans through a Kalonzo vice presidency or deputy presidency and Raila's presidency. And my next press conference will be about talking about Raila Odinga, because it's important now to start challenging these narratives, these contradictions, that Raila Odinga cannot be president, but when he says somebody tosha, somebody can be president. That's Abunwasi logic. Mimi nikisema wewe unatosha, inatosha, lakini nikisema mimi mwenyewe natosha itoshi. That's Abunwasi wisdom. That wisdom is only residual in Jubilee. They want to make you feel so bad. If today it was Kalonzo Musyoka, they will probably be telling our other bases otherwise. If it was another person, he would have been telling our bases otherwise. So if let's say, for instance, my brother Nyenze is not satisfied because Kalonzo is not the presidential flag bearer, what will I be saying? What will Farah Maalim be saying? What will Kisis be saying? What will Turkanas be saying? Because all these are support bases for the NASA coalition. So let us embrace one another. Let us now move on. Let us now ensure that we have a NASA ticket and campaign for the NASA presidency by all our might and our heart. I am sure that we will attain victory on this particular one.